Okay, hey guys, so in this video we're going to connect up the DALRC QUHF transmitter here to my FreeSky receiver, and I'm going to show you how you do that, and also then bind it to the DALRC receiver, and also set the failsafe, and we'll demonstrate how that works too. First thing I'm going to do is attach the transmitter's antenna. You always want to do this so you don't burn out the transmitter. Going to connect the PPM cable here to the transmitter. Now, the tricky thing about this transmitter is there's only 2 rows of pins here versus we normally see in a lot of transmitters and receivers is 3 rows here where you have the ground, the power, and the signal. I think actually the ground's on the bottom here on the receiver. That's a 5-volt power in the middle, and the signal is on top on the receiver. So in this case, they're labeled here on this sticker here, and the on the far left here is your VCC and your ground. That's the 3-volt battery voltage that's going to be coming in on these 2 pins. It's going to be coming in on the 2 left pins right here. And then the PPM cable is going to be plugged into the top row here next to the power end. And then the 5 volts and ground that are going to go out to the FreeSky receiver are going to be plugged in over here. So I'll plug those in now. So on here, the cables that are provided is a standard servo connector on the one end that goes to the FreeSky receiver. On the other end, you have these split connectors, and that's to accommodate this 2-row configuration. So we're going to connect up this yellow cable here to the PPM signal right there. And we'll connect the red to the 5 volts going out. So, and the brown is ground, which is right below 5 volts right there. Okay, so okay. So that's the PPM cable connected there. I'm gonna connect the power using this JST extension, and the reason I'm going to use this extension is this is going to be in a box again, propped up, and the cable is going to be underneath. So this is going to be propped up like this, and the cable is going to be underneath, and I don't want to have to reach underneath here to plug in the battery. Plus, this this connector here isn't keyed, so I don't want to accidentally plug in the battery in a reverse polarity and fry the transmitter. So the red here, positive, is on top. Plug it in like that. So, and then I can just have this other end dangling underneath here somewhere else in that box, and then I can just plug in the battery to the other side here, and that's keyed, so I'll always know that my polarity is correct. I'll plug in the other end of the PPM cable to the FreeSky receiver. So on this one, we have to jump the signal pins on 1 and 3, and then that will enable the PPM signal on the signal on channel 4. And in this one, the signals are on the bottom and the grounds are on top. So it's going to go in like this. And I've already bound the FreeSky receiver to my trans. This has been bound before. if you need to see a video on that, shoot me a comment down below and I'll send you a link to one. There's a lot of videos on how to bind your FreeSky receivers to your Taranis. It's pretty easy. Alright, so we got this connected. Next thing to do is to power up this guy and then bind it to the receiver for this. Let's get a battery. Okay, we'll turn on the Taranis.
A disturbance in the force, there is.
Throttle warning.
Okay. Go ahead and we'll plug in the transmitter here. There we go. Got a blue light now on the transmitter and a solid green light on the FreeSky receiver. Okay, so the binding procedure is a little, well, it's not that complicated. It's actually pretty similar to a lot of binding procedures on a lot of other transmitters and receivers. It's not too different, but the manual's English is not so great. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I have the manual here on my computer, and it says here, note before frequency binding or setting failsafe transmitter must be accessed in one of PPM, PWM, or S-bus signals successfully. So that just means that before you can do the binding or the failsafe, it needs to detect some sort of a signal from a receiver, and that's why I have the FreeSky receiver plugged in and powered on, and already bound to the Taranis. Now, the instructions here for doing a single receiver frequency binding. So I guess there's two different procedures, and I'm just going to cover the one for the one receiver. If you have multiple receivers, there is instructions further down in this manual that will explain how to do multiple receivers, but it's similar to the one for the single receiver. So it says here, single receiver frequency binding process, keep press receivers button until blue light flashing, release it, then power supply to receiver. When transmitters blue light stop flashing, receivers red light on, frequency binding success. So I think what that means is press and hold when it says here keep press receivers button, I think that what they mean is they keep pressing the button on the transmitter, because there is no button on the receiver. So that must be a typo or just an error. So because there is a mode button on the transmitter. So we'll hold that button down until the blue light starts flashing and then release it. And then it says power supply to receiver. So we'll plug in power to the DALRC receiver. And then says when transmitters blue light stop flashing, the receiver's red light will turn on, and then that will indicate that the frequency binding is successful. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get my little battery here. And we won't power on the receiver yet. Okay, so it says press and hold the blue transmitter button until the blue light starts flashing. Press and hold. Okay, let it go, and then it starts flashing. Now we can give power to the receiver, and in this case the ground is the one on the bottom. So we'll give it power, and the red light's flashing, and there we go. It just turned solid, so now we have a bind. Cool. And the blue light has also stopped flashing. So that means that our receiver is now bound. Let me grab a servo here and let's test that this is working. So in my Taranis, I have channel 2 as the aileron. So I'll plug in my servo on channel 2. Right there. Okay. So got here's the servo going. And there's the receiver in the background there, and I will see if I can get this in. I will move the aileron. So it looks like it's working. Pretty cool. All right. So now let's see how we can set the failsafe. Okay. Let's go look at the manual again. All right. So more bad. Okay. So here's the manual for the procedure for the failsafe setting, and they call it the loss control protection setting process. Wow, that's a lot of words for failsafe. Okay. Set all the channel of remote control to the position where the receiver was expected to output the proper signal during the loss control condition. Then press the button until the red light start flashing to release it. Power supply to receiver. Wow, transmitter's red light stop flashing and receiver's red light on means set success. Alright, so it says note, before set loss control protection, the frequency binding must be finished successfully. Okay, so that last part means that before you can do the failsafe, you have to make sure that you have a successful bind, which would make sense. Okay, so wow. Let me see if I can't translate this. This is confusing. So it says, the first part says, set all channel of the remote controller to the position where the receiver was expected to output the proper signal during the loss control condition. So that means, I think it means basically set all your switches and your gimbals to the position that you want for the failsafe. So, you know, like a lot of times for an airplane, you probably want to, like, you know, 1/3 throttle and like maybe have it bank left or something like that if you want it to circle. Or if in a lot of cases you just want it to drop out of the sky and just cut the throttle completely. So in this situation, I'm gonna just leave my Tyrannus with the throttle all the way down and all the switches in neutral position, and then we'll see how that looks and when I turn the transmitter off. Alright, so we'll do that. Let's leave that there, and then okay, so it says press the button until the red light start flashing this is really hard to understand. To release it, power supply to receiver, transmitters, red light stop flashing, and receivers red light on. Okay, so I think that this means that we got to disconnect the power to the receiver because we have to press the button on the transmitter until the red light is flashing, and then release it, and then give power to the receiver, and then the transmitter's red light will stop flashing, and the receiver's red light will be on, which means that this failsafe is set successfully. Oh boy. Okay, so let's give this a try. I don't know how if this is gonna work or not. This is the first time I've tried this myself. So turn the power off on the receiver first. Unplug that. Alright, so here's the transmitter. We will hold the button until the red light starts flashing. So blue light's flashing now. Now we got a red light flashing. Cool. And we'll plug the receiver back in. Okay. And looks like that stopped flashing red, and looks like that means it's a success. So let's see, let's give this a test. Alright, so I'm gonna just have let's have this, see if I can get this all in the same shot here. Alright, so we'll have my aileron all the way over, like so. See, it's working. Actually, I'll probably easier if I do it this way. Have it over to the left, and then I will power off the transmitter. So I think it should fail safe, and then go back to this position here, which is neutral. Let's see if that happens. Power off. There we go. We got fail safe. So now let's turn the transmitter back on.
A disturbance in the force. There is.
And it should go the other way now. There we go. It has reestablished a signal. Very cool. So the failsafe signal is transmitted through the FreeSky receiver all the way to the DALRC receiver. Alright, so hopefully you guys found that helpful with this product. Looks like things are working as they should be. If you have any questions, please shoot me a comment below. And I will also put a link to the manual in the description as well. It's a little tricky. I think that if you read it and make some educated guesses, it's not too hard to figure out, but there are some mistakes in there where they use the word receiver for transmitter. But I think pretty much wherever they indicate a button being pressed, it's going to be, they're pretty much talking about the transmitter, so I'd keep that in mind. Anyway, hope you guys liked this video. Please give it a like and a thumbs up, and definitely shoot me some comments below if you have any questions. The next step is going to be able to, I'm going to hook this up to probably a flight controller. I'm thinking just like an AS32 with a minimum OSD, so I can get the RSSI and some just basic information to see if we have some data coming out of the receiver, and we'll do that next. So stay tuned. I'll talk to you guys later.